Howdy folks, hope you're all having a good one, and welcome back to World of Tanks with the mighty Jingles, and oh boy, we've got a good one for you today. This is Archie Leet in the T-71DA in an encounter battle on Himmelsdorf. It's a tier 7 light tank, it's a tier 8 encounter battle, and it's every light tank driver's favourite map, Himmelsdorf. Because of course on Himmelsdorf there is basically no concealment. There's lots of cover, but there's no concealment. So if you can see them, they can see you, and you're in a light tank, you have no armour, and you don't have an awful lot of health. So, fun for all the family. Archie, however, simply sees this as a challenge, and it is going to be, well, more challenging than being on a city map in a light tank would be in the first place, because of the nature of the tank that he's driving, the T-71DA. This is a tier 7 light tank, and it was a real tank, or at least an experimental tank. It was designed to replace the M41 Walker Bulldog, although it ended up being scrapped because the gun was considered ineffective, which is a bit surprising because the gun's probably the best thing on the tank here in the game. It has a 6-shot autoloader with APCR as the standard ammunition, and that's actually quite good to see. He moved up to that spot to try to get eyes on anybody making a break across the middle and also see into the enemy deployment zone. But when he didn't see anything, he didn't sit there waiting and waiting, because there's going to be nothing else there to see if you don't spot anybody right at the start, and instead moved up to another position where, yep, like I said, you can see them, they can see you too. So wisely backed off, and he's letting the guy with a big gun, and even less armed than him, take that spot, although he is going to be using them as cover. Hey, if it works. Meanwhile, the gun, yes. 6-shot autoloader with APCR ammunition as standard, which means it has better than average penetration for a 76mm gun, and very, very good shell velocity. The only really bad thing about the gun is the subpar accuracy. It's not particularly great, although the gun does have a good aiming time. The thing is, though, it is still just a 76mm gun, and 145... oh wow, I didn't expect him to make that shot, but he did. And that one. Although not that one. 145mm of penetration is still kind of bad, because it is just a 76mm gun, so the gold ammo that comes with this tank is high explosive anti-tank, and it does have better penetration, as you'd expect, since you're paying for it, and Archie does have a lot of it, but it's still not great with 210mm of penetration. It's better than 145, but this is a tier 7 light tank. It can and will face tier 9s, and 210mm of penetration still sucks. And since it's high explosive anti-tank and not the standard APCR, it has lower shell velocity, so the shot takes longer to get to the target, and with .39 accuracy, which is kinda bad, it's very difficult unless you're shooting at a stationary target and you're fully aimed to hit anything at long range. So that's the gun, but what about the rest of the tank? Well, it does have good mobility, and the view range is excellent. Unfortunately, that's where the good news ends, because that premium ammo is stupidly expensive to use, even by the already stupid standards of premium ammunition. Because it's only 76mm and only does 150 damage per shot, if you're going to use it, you're going to be using a lot of it. And those costs add up very quickly. Oh, there we go. That was the APCR, by the way, which is the ammo that you should be using if you're shooting at targets at long range, because of the fast shell velocity, which helps offset the penalty imposed by the lousy .39 accuracy. Doesn't have a lot of that APCR left though, so sooner rather than later he's going to have to start putting his hand in his pocket, which means it's going to be extremely difficult to turn a profit on this battle. The other downside of this tank, which is fairly significant, because it is a light tank after all, is the concealment, which is kind of bad. I mean, it's got the light tank mobility, it's got the light tank view range, but the concealment is more on par of a medium tank. Although it doesn't really matter on Himmelsdorf, because if you can see them, they can see you anyway. But anyway, back to the battle. So, both teams have 4 kills, and Archie's team do have the health advantage, but, well, that can change very, very quickly. The enemy team have the hill, and that's not good, but it's not so important in an encounter battle because the capture zone is at the other end of the map. And he got spotted moving across the open ground, but that only really matters if people have their guns pointing in your direction, and the SU-152 does not. Took his time there with the last shot, made sure it wasn't going to ricochet off the angled superstructure, got the kill on the SU-152. The enemy team are ahead by 1 kill now, however. And while Archie's team do still have the hit point advantage, it's very, very slim. He has, however, thanks to his daring move across the open ground in the middle there, earned himself the opportunity to deliver a dose of hot surprise butt sex to the Skoda T56, who now has a tough choice to make. I mean, it's unlikely that he's going to have the burst damage to kill him, but the Skoda makes the right decision. He backs up out of the line of fire of everybody on both sides. Meanwhile, there's almost a dose of surprise butt sex here for Archie as an enemy tank appears down the street behind him, but he's got the wreck of 2 tanks to hide behind, and he has just reloaded. The Skoda, of course, really doesn't have any good decisions to make here because he's got enemies to the left and to the right, but it is Archie who gets the kill, while the Skoda was making the best of a bad situation and taking down the friendly Super Hellcat with him. The enemy team are now 2 kills ahead, and they are still capping. What to do? Well, the T-20 takes a hit from the guard when he goes out to try to get a shot in of his own, and Archie takes this opportunity while the guard is reloading to move up, get himself into cover, and now they've basically caught the guard in the same situation as that suffered by the T-56 just a minute earlier. Doesn't matter which way he goes, he's got enemies. Killed them before. He's in no rush to get the cap here. I mean, it's an encounter battle, it takes forever to cap, depending on how many tanks are in the cap circle, but at the moment, it's only 1. Rushing to the cap now would very likely just get him killed, and, well, they no longer have a cap problem. The friendly Rheinmetall Borsig took care of the Super Hellcat who was in the cap circle. Unfortunately, he did get spotted on the way up here, so the element of surprise is now gone, but there's a way you can work that to your advantage, as he ducks around one side of the building, waits to go unspotted, and then immediately doubles back and comes around the other side. Now, of course, as soon as he gets to within 50 metres of the target, they're going to see him anyway, but if their gun's pointing the other way because you tricked them into thinking you were coming around the other side, that's not going to do them any good, and there's kill number 5. Enemy team is still 1 kill ahead, and while they probably are wise to his tricks by now and know which way he's coming, he is still a very fast light tank with an autoloader, and there's the Top Gun. Kill secured, and now he's just using the speed, ducking and weaving. Very successfully, I might add. Although it is mostly thanks to the friendly T-20 over there who's taken the heat off him from the enemy Leo, and it's only the enemy tank down at the other end of the train yard that's actually trying to shoot at him at the moment, which allows him to get the reload off and claim kill number 7. Remember, he's in a tier 7 light tank with no armour in a tier 8 encounter battle on a city map, and he hasn't taken a single point of damage yet. And that's good, because it means when he does have to start trading health, he's got some health in the bank to trade with. But that's a KV-2 down there. You really don't want to be trading health in a light tank with a KV-2. However, Archie knows something about the KV-2 that I at first didn't notice. I was initially thinking, KV-2's firing armor piercing, what a noob. But there's a reason why the KV-2 is firing armor piercing. It doesn't have the 152mm howitzer. Instead, it's using the 107mm anti-tank gun. Wargaming, you see what you did with your high explosive nerfs? You see what you did to the KV-2? I hope you're proud of yourselves. I mean, the 107mm gun on the KV-2 is a good gun. It's the gun of choice on the T-150. But the only reason it's the gun of choice on the T-150 is because the T-150 can't equip the 102mm howitzer. And yes, he did just bounce a shot from... Well, he didn't bounce the shot, it took his tracks off, but he was instantly back up on the repair kit. He's firing the heat now, of course. Kill number 8. They're finally ahead a kill. It's 3 against 2. And there's the setter. Now, you'd think with only 2 tanks remaining on the enemy team, they'd be attacking together. And, well, the setter did get a successful shot off. You'd think they'd be attacking together. They are, of course, not. Because while the setter has found his balls, put on his man pants, and taken his brave pills, the IKV, who was last spotted up on the hill, is still up on the hill. I don't know that for sure, but, well, watch how the battle develops and you'll see why I'm making that assumption. But I'm pretty sure the setter is here single-handedly trying to win the game, while the IKV sits up on the hill in the same spot he's been in for the last 8 minutes, yelling at the light tank to go out and spot targets for him. And the setter, of course, dies, caught in crossfire, tracked in open ground. He's just a light tank, but there. You see that? The IKV took a shot, and there's no way it could have made that shot unless it was on high elevation, shooting down over the cover. He's still up there on the hill this entire time, when they could have had a perfect opportunity. I mean, there was still 2 against 3. It wouldn't have been ideal, but with the setter attacking from one side and the IKV attacking from the other, they could have caught these guys in the crossfire, but they didn't. So I'm pretty sure, and I think Archie is also pretty sure, that the IKV did in fact take that shot from the hill. But now, of course, he doesn't have a setter spotting for him, so if he wants to do anything about not losing this game, he's going to have to put his man pants on and get his ass down here. And he only has, well, less than a minute in which to do it as well, because both Archie and the T20 have accumulated a substantial amount of capture points between them. The one tank that the IKV was able to shoot at basically didn't have any capture points. But here's the IKV's really big problem. There are 2 different ways he can approach this cap circle, and he's got 2 enemies to deal with, so they can each be covering a different side. There he is. Oop, first shot missed. Second shot didn't. IKV's return shot sails harmlessly over the top of Archie's turret, and it wouldn't have mattered if it hit him anyway because he's got the health to spare. The third shot kills him, and that's victory and 10 kills, a Pools medal for Archie Leet in the T-71DA in this Tier 8 encounter battle here on Himmelsdorf. Of course, even after getting 10 kills, doing 4,500 damage and getting 2,000 base experience in this thing, it's still not enough to turn a profit in a Tier 7 light tank, especially this Tier 7 light tank, when you're firing that much gold ammunition. But I'm fairly sure that's a price, given the result that he got, that Archie was entirely happy to pay. And I hope you enjoyed watching him do it, because that's it for today. As always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.